Hey, what's up people? So I figured I'd start first tutorial on drawing a pretty basic cabinet. Now, this is a real project that we completed about a couple years ago. It's a floating bath vanity, walnut, veneer core plywood. Very modern look. Grain matched all the way through, as you can see. Now, these are just visuals, pretty close, something to portray a walnut that was a stock item in the SketchUp library. Now, as you can see here, here's a real live picture of the actual job installed. So, as you can see, grain matched, and then there's this little recess up here. These doors had a 45 chamfer on top and a little 1-inch space between this top rail here to act as an integrated finger pull to open the doors. So there's that picture there. So I already had this project drawn, and I'm going to go ahead and just draw this again live, so in real time, so you can see how fast you can get these drawings done. And this is not going to be parametric. This is just very basic beginner tools in SketchUp. And so the first thing I do is, typically what I would do is I would have a plan, the designer's plans on another screen here that I would get all the details from, like the dimensions of the cabinet and all the specifics that it needs to be. So because that's already been done, I'm just going to pull these dimensions off of here. So it's a 20-inch tall cabinet. Looks like it's about 16 inches off the floor, 24 wide. Looks like it's a 3/4 countertop, and then the overall width is 48. So those are the basic overall numbers there that we need to hit. And let's see here, we have an 1.5 inch bottom rail there, and an 1.5 inch top rail there. Okay, and this is the design, just all 3/4, very modern look. So first thing I'm going to do is create a floor plan. Now I'm going to click the rectangle tool and just draw an oversized box. I'm going to use the guidelines or reference lines, or they're also called construction lines, to go ahead and draw all these dimensions out. Now I just hit 24 right there, and then I'm going to click here and drag in the direction I want to go that way. I'm going to hit 48. Okay, and then going up, I'm going to click here, go up 20. Now I'm going to go ahead and redraw, and basically with the line tool and the rectangle tool, and I'm using the inference system here to lock in these points, and then I'm going to erase everything else. So that's basically the width and the height of the cabinet there. And I can go ahead, I'll go ahead and draw a side view as well. So I'll take the line tool, hit that, pull it over this way, and then now I have that right there. Now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and start drawing in all of the lines for how we're going to build a cabinet. So looking down, I know that we have 3/4 doors, so I'm going to hit 3/4 there, and then I'm going to go 7/8 right there because we have an 1/8 inch bumper. On the back, how we build cabinets, we always go 1 inch from the wall to the interior of the cabinet, and we either use a 3/4 back, 1/2 inch back, or quarter inch back, and whichever one of those three we use, we offset the rest of the inch, which we call a nailer. So in this case, it's going to be a 3/4 back, so we're going to draw that back in right there, and then that leaves a 1/4 inch nailer for that's going to hit the wall. The finished ends are 3/4 of an inch thick, so I'm going to hit 3/4 there and 3/4 there. Now, as far as the side view, if I look at the side view here, we're going to have a full 3/4 bottom skin, 3/4 bottom, and then a 3/4 top. And then, as you see here, there's a built-in apron right there. So down here, we're going to go up 3/4. We're going to go up again 3/4. The top is going to be a 3/4 countertop, and then we're going to have 3/4 subtop, which is a cabinet top. And then on this side, we're going to follow the door, and then that right there. Now this is that's the countertop, and then another 3/4 for the top. So, and then also on this side, we want to capture that and that, and also that. So there we go. I'm just basically using the construction, the guideline tool, to outline my floor plan and my section view. And then I'm going to redraw over all these with lines. Now, I know that this is the top of the cabinet, but we're going to have a 3/4 apron cut in there. And if I dimension this out, that is 4 inches. Okay, and then there's this 1.5 top rail here, right there. So the 1.5 top rail is the full 7/8, right? Because it's going to flush out to the face of the door, but it's going to make up for the 1/8 bumper on that gap there. And then this right here is or that is also 7/8. I don't know why that's 7/8. Maybe I just made that there. Yeah, it doesn't. It could be 3/4. Oh, maybe because I was using solid wood. Either way, that could be whatever you want it to be. So here is, so you can start drawing these in as to not get confused with all the different guidelines. So that's the countertop, and then I'm going to come down 1.5 inches, and then that's going to be my top rail. Okay, and then if you remember, we have, or no, this is a 1 inch space here. Okay, so from there we're going to make another guide 1 inch down, and then we're going to draw a rectangle down here, and then this is the door. Okay, and then from here we want it to be 4 inches down, and then we'll just make this 3/4, 0.75 from here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make that notch there, and then draw this line down all the way. So I'm basically just starting to fill in, retrace all these lines. This is going to go here. This is the back of the cabinet right here, and then this is the top there. So as you start drawing it, you can start erasing the guidelines, so you can start seeing the section that you're drawing. All right. So this is kind of the section view. Now we know we're going to have a 45 chamfer here. So I know on a 3/4 door with the 45, it usually ends up being about 1 inch. Or actually, I'm sorry. We're just going to go ahead and draw down 0.75, and then we're going to create that 45 right there. What I meant to say is on a 45 on 3/4, this becomes pretty close to 1 inch. It's like 1 1/16. So there's the 45 chamfer. We can go ahead and erase that, and then that creates, now you can start to see kind of the section cut. Right, I'm just going to go ahead and leave that so it's all connected. Okay, so that's the section view of the cabinet. The nailers, we usually do, I don't know, about 3 inches. So if you really want to get detailed, you can go ahead and draw on those for the 1/4 inch. Take my guide, go up 3, hit my line tool, go over there. And then we're going to do the same process now on the elevation. I'm going to draw this. This is the finished end there. hide that. So basically the ends of the cabinet, oops, unhide. Unhide. Oh no, I'm sorry. Finished ends to go over. Okay, so there's going to be another 3/4 there. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that over. Bring that over. 0.75. 0.75. Okay, start drawing in these lines with the rectangle tool. I know this is going to be the countertop because the countertop's flush. This is going to be the finished end, so it's going to go all the way down. This is going to be the finished end, so it goes all the way down. This bottom part is going to be the bottom skin. Okay, that's going to go in between, and then the bottom of the cabinet is going to be right there. And then this will be the end of the cabinet. This will be the end of the cabinet, and then this will be the top of the cabinet. So there's the elevation, and then we could also draw in. This kind of gets tricky when you have layers. So this would be the box elevation, and so we can go ahead and draw the apron in if we wanted to. So we can draw a line down at 4, and that's going to span between these two. And then we could also draw in the 1.5 inches, which would be the top rail, and then also draw in the 1-inch space, and then that would be the top of the door. So that kind of gets confusing. You can see all those better on the section view here, but if you want to, you can go ahead and leave all those lines drawn in just to represent everything visually that you would see from the face of the cabinetry. If we went to right, and also what's behind, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the bottom here. We're going to draw in the finished end, and then here is, this is going to be the door. It's going to be the finished end. Now this is going to be the nailer right here, the 1/4 inch, and then this is going to be the 3/4 back. This is going to be the cabinet end, which is going to stop there. Remember, we have an 1/8 inch gap to the door. This is going to be the inch gap to the door, and then we're going to connect these because that's going to be the bottom of the cabinet. Now I want to build in the door gaps, so we always do 1/8 inch gaps. So just hit 0.125, connect that, and then erase that. Going over here, 0.125, erase that. Now I'm just going to go, using the inference system, I'm going to hit the center right there of those, and then from there I'm going to go a 1/16 on one side, and then 1/8 from the other side. Draw in a rectangle there, and then erase everything. Up here on the edit, there's a delete guide button, so you can delete all the guides very quickly. So there you go. That's basically the floor plan that we're going to draw to. Okay. If you really wanted to get technical, you can go ahead and draw in these on the floor plan as well, the top rails and the apron. So, well, basically the top rail is this, but then the apron behind is 0.75. So, and then that goes through here because we're notching the ends in this particular. Okay, so you can erase that, erase that. So there we go. So there's a full plan right there. So if we went into perspective and then a top view, that's basically what it's going to look like there, as you can see right there. And this is just like a random cutout for a sink. Okay. So that would be our top view. And we can go front view right there. And you can draw the doors in. I mean, we don't really need to do that because we have that on the down view. We'll just draw those in as we're drawing the cabinet. And then, let's see here. Let's draw them in. we would want that to be over here. We can hit this line. You know, we're not going to draw them in. There's that, and then right here, left, this would be, or wait, we want to go right. I have this in the way, I have to move this cabinet. Because it's in the way. So there you go. If we went on the right view, that'd be like a section view. Okay. Bottom skin goes all the way to the wall, so it covers the nailer and the back of the cabinet. So if you look under the cabinet, you don't see any end grain of the plywood. Okay, so we're about, I don't know, 15 minutes in, and we have our basic floor plan. Now we're going to start drawing cabinet. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this whole thing a group. So I'm going to highlight that, right click, and hit make group. I'm now going to create a copy of that group by hitting Control C and Control V, and just bringing that over here, just so I have something to reference on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making pieces. I'm going to use a rectangle tool. I'm just going to make a random square. I'm going to, with my construction lines, draw a 3/4 piece. So I go 3/4 there, and just draw a line. And then I'm going to use the push-pull tool, hit P, and just randomly draw that up. Now I'm going to erase everything else. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to triple click this. You triple click, or you can highlight the whole thing, right click, and hit make group. Now that that's a group, now I can use the scale tool or the box stretching tool up here, which is the Lib Fredo 6 scale, which is a very, very important tool to get, because it's basically the scale tool, but when you start having a whole bunch of other things built into your model, it'll scale it accurately without distorting it. So I'm basically going to start pulling dimensions off of my floor plan and start piecing this cabinet together. Okay, so I know that the bottom of the cabinet of the case part is going to be, actually this is the top apron, so it's going to be from here to here. It's going to be 22 1/8 of an inch in depth, and it's going to capture the end, so it's also going to be from here to here, which is going to be 46.5. Okay, and then for the ends before the notch, it's going to be 17 by 22 1/8. Okay, so I need 2 of those, and then 2 of these, a top and a bottom. So I'm just going to start typing those numbers, 22.125, 22 1/8, and then I'm going to just pull this to that number, and then I wanted 17. Okay, and now I'm going to pull that to that number. All right, now I'm just going to make a copy of that. All right, and then I'm also going to make another copy. Okay, and then I'm going to use with the move tool. You see how all these little cross arrows, so you can just rotate over. Okay, and then I know I want 46.5, 46.5. Okay, erase that. There we go. So now I can just use the inference system and start building the cabinet. Start putting all these pieces together. Okay. Grab a corner, pull it to that corner. Now that those are together, I can go ahead and move, copy. All right, pull it up there, and now I have my box. I know I'm going to want a. What is that? Huh, that's weird. I gotta fill this here. I don't know why that did that, but anyways. We fix that. Control copy, move, there we go. Same thing with this. I'm going to control copy that, just move it over here, get the move tool, rotate it, click this corner, bring it down to here, snaps to there where it needs to be. Use the box stretching tool. Sometimes you have to, with the box stretching tool, use guidelines to kind of help snap it where it needs to go. Okay, so there you go. Now for the nailers, I can go ahead and copy that. Just hit 0.25 there. Same thing. Okay, and then our nailers, we want it to be 3 inches. Again, just snap the construction tool 3 inches. Drag it up there. Move. Put it right there. Move tool, control copy. Snap it right there. Okay, so now we have our basic box, right? We could start erasing these. Now, what I like to start doing too, as you can see over here, I have tags. So I'm just going to go ahead and erase all these tags, so I can show you starting from scratch. There's a plus sign here. You hit that, and then I'll just type in floor plan. And this is why it's important to group everything. So now I can click that. I can either right click and go entity info, and then up here it'll bring on the default tray. The tag, it says untagged. You can click the window and it'll say floor plan because I already added that. Also up here, box up here, you can click that and you can use the drop down. Right now there's only one, and then you can click it there. So sometimes if I know ahead of time all the different groups, I'll just go ahead and pre-write those in here ahead of time, so as I need to tag stuff, I can just go ahead, they're already there. So I know I'm going to have a floor plan. I know I'm just going to say cabinet, right? Let's just say finished ends. Okay, let's say apron. Let's make one for, we'll just say face frames, which is going to be the top and bottom rail. Alright, and then we'll make one that says doors. And then we'll make one that says countertop. And I think that's everything we'll need for this one. You could, if you wanted to, like dissect every one of these pieces on the cabinet, but I typically don't. I'll just do the basic cabinet, and then you want to make sure everything is the individual group though, right? Because that way it doesn't stick together. Then once I have the basic cabinet, I'll go ahead and make that its own group. Now I can go ahead and tag that up here as cabinet. So now when I click, I can just turn on and off. You see that was a floor plan in the cabinet. I can just turn that on and off, okay? And then what I'll do too is I'll just go ahead and make another copy of this and then explode it. That way I can just pull the parts off and edit them as needed to make all the other parts, because this is already grouped. Instead of having to redraw another rectangle and do all the steps over, I can just pull parts off of this and copy as necessary. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling this over to the floor plan, all right, and placing everything where it needs to go. So this is the cabinet box, so I know that's going to go there, right? And so you can start to see how it fits exactly as you drew the floor plan out, because you're pulling the dimensions right off of the floor plan, right, because everything's in full scale. Okay, now we have to make a notch here. Okay, so we messed up. So the top is actually needs to be 3/4 in. So now that I have this next to my floor plan, what I can do is I can go ahead and edit this. I can just get this all the way down, and then hit the push-pull tool, and then use the floor plan as a reference. You see that? So I just pulled that back exactly where it needed to be. And then now for the cabinet end, I can do the same thing. I can get all the way down to the basic bases and edges before it was grouped. Okay, now here I'm going to use the guidelines. And again, I'm going to use the floor plan because I'm right next to it. I'm going to come down and use that inference point there because I know that's what the apron needs to be. Okay, I'm going to draw a line, and then now I have this section isolated. I could use the push-pull tool, and then I could move that back. All right. Now that only happened on the left side, so I can do the same process here on the right end, or I can just go delete it. Right. I can copy and paste this one and just bring that over. Right, now I know those are identical. Okay. So now that we have that notch, now we need to get our apron piece in there. So again, I can just take the back, right, because it's already in that vertical position. I can just drag this here where it needs to be, okay, and then use the stretching tool again, and just using the inference system, drag it right to where it needs to be. I grab the back because it's already the same width. So you can see if you can start getting creative. Once you know how all these tools and the rules work with them, you can start understanding how to manipulate and to save in your workflow to save time. I like to say copy and paste is your friend doing this in this sort of work. Okay. Another reason why I like to make copies of the floor plan is because there's a number of ways to get this angle here on the doors. First off here, let's just go ahead and make the bottom rail. All right, the bottom rail needs to be 7/8. So we'll go ahead and that was 3/4, so we'll pull this to 7/8. Just again using the construction guidelines. All right, you know that needs to be 1.5 inches. Okay. Again, make this 1.5 inches. All right, this is going to go here. All right, and then we also want one down. Oops. Control copy on the move tool. We also want one down here. All right, let's see. Is that how it is? Yeah. And the finish edge capture that, and the bottom skin goes behind that. Yep. All right, so that's that. And then let's take. I'll just take the bottom here, and then tuck that using the inference system again. Okay, so now the floor plan is kind of in the way, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor plan off. As you can see, the visibility kind of gets weird because I'm on top of the floor plan. So I'm just going to turn that off. So that fits there, and now because this is the bottom skin, we want this to extend all the way to the wall. So go ahead and click that and extend that to the wall. Okay. Now we want the finished ends on there. So just go ahead and grab a piece of that. And the finished end is going to capture the whole cabinet. So I'll just use the stretching tool again. Put that where it needs to be. Oops, didn't quite go all the way. Use a regular scale tool for individual pieces, but when you start getting into more complex drawings, you'll see that the scale tool will distort the drawings as you scale. So very, very critical tool right here, this box stretching tool from the Fredo scale. Here, I'll show you right there. If you go to their tools, you'll see right here, the Fredo 6 collection Fredo scale. It has all these other tools that come with it, but honestly, the only one I use is the box scaling, or the box stretching, which is this guy right here. So anyways, whoops. So I'm going to go ahead and control copy paste that, bring it over, snap it on that corner, and there you go. So now we have our basic Wait, what's going on? Why are these parts doing that? Sorry, I gotta fix this again. For some reason, these parts were like hollow or something. I don't know how that happened at the beginning, but okay, there we go. I just filled those in. The basic box now, and we can even go ahead and draw in our countertop. So, because we know the countertop is just flush all the way around the cabinet, we can go ahead and piece that in right there. So, a couple of ways you can draw the doors. We can just take another part here, and you can go ahead and go into edit mode, and you can draw the chamfer on the side like this in edit mode. Using a guideline, I came down 3/4, and then I can click that push-pull tool and go all the way over. Alright, that's one way. Another way is from your floor plan drawing. You can just here, you could explode that and then erase everything around the door profile, because you kind of already drew the profile, right? And then now I can just click this, hit push pull, just to give it a shape, and then make that a group. And then now I can take that and just put it where I need to and push and pull it to the correct dimensions. So I hid the floor plan. I'm going to bring it back. First off, since I have most of the parts here, I'm going to go ahead and start. Remember, I already pre-wrote the tags. I'm going to start tagging these. So I'm going to highlight these, the top and bottom rail. So I'm just going to call those face frames, okay? And as I do it, I start turning them off so I can make sure I'm getting everything I need. I'm going to click that and hit countertop. Okay, we know we already got cabinet. Whoops. Oh, everything else was in the cabinet. So I'm going to make this apron. So we can turn the apron on and off, but it'll also go with the cabinet. Or no, now it's separate. Let's see here. Those are going to be the finished ends. Let's see if those... Okay, now that everything's separate. Yeah, and then there's one I forgot was the bottom skin. So now we're going to make that bottom skin. Okay, apron, bottom skin, cabinet, finished ends. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and erase all that for clarity. Now you can see everything is on its own entity, right? So you can click these on and off. You see there's the bottom skin there, and then the face frames. So this is important when building your model, if you want to hide certain things as you're building, editing to turn things on and off. Also, the hide tool is very effective. You can hide certain things, right, as you're working, and then you can unhide them when you want to bring them back. And also, this is very important when you go into layout and you start doing your 2Ds. I'm not going to get into that on this video. I'm just showing you a basic model, how to model in the 3D space on this one. And again, I'm just showing you an overall view of the process. And this does go a lot faster too, because I'm kind of taking the time to explain everything. And this is my first video, mind you. So it is taking a little longer than it would take me if I was just in the zone working with no distractions. So, and I'm going to go into start doing tutorials specifically on all the tools I'm using and all the processes that I'm doing, detail, and laying out how to use all these tools and explain what they do and their purpose and their function, and then how to incorporate them all together in separate videos one-on-one. This is just, again, a very broad overview, just showing you in real time the process, okay? So, let's see, so back to the doors. So if I turn all this off, right here and just leave the floor plan. Real easy thing to do. Now that I have this basic door shape, I can just take this over to the floor plan, and I can use the floor plan to size the doors. See, because I know the door is going to go, let's see. Oh, you know what? Actually, I drew the floor plan wrong. I'm sorry. So edit this. There's actually the bottom rail I forgot to draw on here. So there we go. And then the door is going to be 1/8 inch up from there. There we go. Okay, so there's the door there, and then that's the bottom rail. And then that actually should have been, no, that's right. Yeah. Okay. So that is the correct side view there. So I can go ahead and use a floor plan to size my doors and put them exactly where they need to be. So I can put it there first, right? And then now, because I know it's snapped in plane on the front, I could use the inference system and stay on the vertical axis and then click it right where it needs to be, there. And then use the box stretching tool to bring it right there. And then same thing with the top. I can click there and drop it right down there to the point. And then I know that's the exact size of that door, and because I split it in the center, I can just make a copy of this and then drag it and click right there, snap it to there, and I know it's going to land exactly where it needs to be in place. And I'm just going to go ahead and highlight those and tag them as doors. So now the doors are on a tag, and you can see the bevel there. So now if I turn that off, turn the doors, we can start building this or just clicking these tags, and you can see how everything comes together. There's the cabinet. Let's delete all that. The cabinet, the apron, the bottom skin, the face frames, and the finished ends right there, and then the doors, okay? And then the countertop. Now, as far as getting this on the countertop to represent the sink, now you probably would have to get sink specs and figure out where you want it, so I'm just going to mimic this. So basically just draw guidelines, right? So 4 5/8, and then 14, and then we have 13 5/8 to there, 20 3/4. So I just pull this, I just make a copy of this to make it easy. Turn it into edit mode, and then just copy these numbers here with guidelines. So 4.625, and then 14, 13 5/8 over, and then 20 3/4. So now that I have that, use the rectangle tool and make that square, and then highlight it, and then pull it down to 0, and then there's that cutout. Okay. Because I made a copy of that, I can go ahead and click that, delete it, and then just move this one over, and there's my sink cutout. And if I want to do the same thing for the top of the cabinet, I can, if I unclick these, so I'll go ahead and into edit mode on the top of the cabinet there, as you can see, and then I'll hit the rectangle tool and then trace around the cutout we made on the countertop, and then do the same thing, highlight that part, pull it to 0, and then just come out of edit mode, and there you go. Now I have an exact cutout to the top of the cabinet. So I'll go ahead and turn everything back on. And then as far as the floor plan goes, it was called to be 20 inches up from the floor. So I can just basically highlight this whole thing, hit the move tool, make sure I'm in the up axis, and hit 20, enter, and now that's 20 inches off the ground. There you go. We have our our cabinet fully built or fully modeled. Everything is in full scale. And we're about 45 minutes in, not bad. So, and again, if you're fully up to speed on all this, and because I'm doing this video and the first time doing it, trying to talk and explain everything, so we can shave at least 15, maybe even 20 minutes off that if you were really in the zone. And actually, let's talk about colors now. If you want to put visuals on your model for a 3D rendering, you can, over here on the default tray, go to, let's see, I already have these. So if you didn't have them pulled up in the model, you can just hit the materials button on the materials icon, and then they have all these categories you can pick from. So there's colors, right? Just solid colors. There's glass and mirrors. There's metal. There's patterns. There's stone, right? So I usually go to the stone one for the countertops. So the shortcut for the paint tool is B, the paint bucket. So I'll hit B, and I'll go to and I'll just pick one, right? Again, these are just for visual representations. I always write disclaimers on our drawings. These are best portray the finished look, kind of just to tell you that this is not wood. This is be a stone countertop or a solid surface countertop, not wood. We typically don't know the exact color of the countertops. But if we do know if it's going to be a specific type of wood, we can go into the wood section here, and these are just stock ones that they have. So they don't really have a walnut one. So what you also can do is you can insert a peg photo. So I'll usually go to Google search, and I'll find a peg image of walnut that I like, and you can import it into your model, and then you can create your own tiles or color tiles doing that. But that's like a whole other video to explain how to do that. So I've already done that. So in the model here, I can just go ahead and say I have walnut horizontal grain and walnut vertical grain. So I'll click the horizontal grain because I know I want the grain going horizontal on the doors and the finished ends. Okay, on the top. Okay, so because of how I drew those on the axis, even though that says horizontal, the grain goes vertical. So I need to actually change that to vertical on these because of the way the object was drawn in the 3D space in relation to these axes, right? It was switched. So, and then the bottom skin is going that way as well. Okay, hide the doors, and then so we're going to start painting all those parts and then that part. So there you go. That's how easy it is to paint your colors on. And you could also add sync if you really wanted to get a really good visual representation with your drawing. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just drag in a sink faucet. I have on my component finder here, I have a whole bunch of stuff saved, like appliances, right? So I have this. Another great thing that we'll get into later videos, component finder. Component finder is where you can create a library of, so you can draw things and save them, so you don't have to like keep redrawing part after part after part, right? So like I have all these different door styles, right? Drawers, all these different drawer configurations I've drawn. All these external parts, right? Like end panels, toe kicks, toe kick skin, different crown moldings, floating shells, beaded face frames. Just anything I think I might use again or was kind of difficult to draw and took me a while, I'll save it. So if I ever need to draw it again or later in the model, I can just click it and draw it and then just resize as needed. So again, but this is way more advanced stuff. So right now I'm just kind of giving you an overall view, like specialty hardware, like a Le Mans corner, internal parts like back, shells, pull-out blocks, nailers, just different things like that, external parts. You can even get technical and create your own different job folders for a specific job details. Anyway, so sometimes with sinks, I'll just, if there's a farm sink, I'll throw that in, but for an undermount sink, I'll typically just grab the sink faucet and then just pull its center to the, let's see here, just kind of try and center it on the sink, so that way when I go to my, let's see, that's centered there, so now I can grab the center point here and then just hit that. So I'll just kind of have that as a representation like on the drawing. So when I go to 2Ds, as you can see, if I go to front view or my side view, so let me get that countertop out of the way. Let me just delete this. So there you go. So like for the side views, you can see that there's a sink, right? And then floating view, right? You'll see that there's a sink centered, even though there's not a sink drawn in. And then the front view, right? Sink centered. So again, these drawings are for client approvals, right? To get a good visual representation. These are not meant to be 100% photorealistic renderings. People like to argue and say SketchUp renderings are very cartoonish looking and not realistic. There are ways that you can use shadows and lighting, and you can bring in different things and like draw like the full room. And then there are other other software you can use to get better renderings with this. But again, we're after custom cabinet shop drawings, okay, to build off of. We are not writing as designers, okay. We are a custom cabinetry shop. We do, I mean, obviously design is part of our job to an extent, but we are not hired to design projects. Now and then we're asked to help design, but we're not designers, okay. So we're not trying to sell design through these drawings. The design has already been sold. We're just trying to show the customer, because a lot of design drawings are very basic and 2D, just line elevations. There's not a lot of detail. And so our job is to create the detail and show them and figure out if the design works or if there's any changes that need to be made to make the construction of the cabinet successful. So again, like these are just to depict that there's going to be a sink there in this situation. So that's kind of the basic rundown of all just very basic native tools, except for the Fredo scale. But again, you could use the scale tool, and there's other ways around this extension, but I do strongly recommend getting this. I think that you do have to purchase it. It's a one-time buy. I think it might be like $14 or something. I'm not sure. I'll have to research that and get back to you, but we are 55 minutes. In under an hour, you have your full model drawn. Now the next step is going to layout. So that's a whole nother learning curve is layout and bringing this into 2D. There is still a little bit more setup to do, like with the section tool. So getting your section cuts to, as you can see here, your section cuts to go into layout to really go your 2D line drawings and dimension everything out. A little bit of work to do. You basically just create, I'm doing it right here. So you use a section tool and then you create a scene, okay, and then I'll just name that section. Whoops. I'll just name that section. And then so now I have a section cut, right? This cabinet is so basic, you only need one section cut, but on a lot of drawings with like 3-4 different walls and like 10 to 12 different cabinets, you need a lot of section views to really show in each cabinet. Okay, so there you go. So now I have a section, now I have a scene. I can just click and go to the section cut. All right, the isometric scene. I have a front scene and a section scene. So there you go. This is again just the very start of what I am going to continue to do is full tutorials on SketchUp specifically for custom cabinetry. I do not know everything about SketchUp. There is a ton I don't know, and there is that I know a lot about, and there's things that I know how to use, but just very little. But what I do know how to do is produce detailed custom cabinet drawings, and that is what I aim to show on this channel, not trying to teach you every single thing there is to know about SketchUp. I'm designing this to be geared specifically for custom cabinetry. So thanks for following along. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.